Practice and Pancakes. As always, I'm your host, Coleman Hodges. We are here at Louis in Baton Rouge, and we just went to a practice with the LSU Swim team. I am here at Louis with the entire LSU coaching staff. We've got coaches. We've got breakfast. Home fries, eggs, bacon, and of course, pancakes. All right, y'all. Give me 15 seconds. What did you think of practice today, and what stations were you running?
I was working with the sprinters, and we were doing a lot of technique work and some power production. We know that we want to focus on reducing drag because the faster you go, the more drag that you incur. So I had some of the big folks, and we were trying to reduce drag and go fast. We had a lot of fun. We tried some different things. Most of the time it works. Sometimes we try some crazy things that are a little off the wall that don't always work. Like we had the bubbler going today, and we were racing across that, but we had some fun.
We had broken up the stations, and I was working on the turns, so we were videotaping them and helping them improve their turns, get in and out of the walls quick.
I had the underwater group, so working on a lot of spinal alignment, working the rate of their kick, amplitude, and working all those things with the fifth stroke, trying to get them faster underwater. So.
I was with backstroke and freestyle, working with our ankle strap, working on tempo of the stroke, keeping that momentum and tempo throughout the length.
I was with John on turns for the first section, and then I was on with the butterfly group. We were doing a pretty cool thing where we were vertical kicking and keeping hold as we were going out and working on loading the legs.
We got to remember that when we're vertical kicking, to go from vertical to horizontal, we've got to really crank those kicks and be explosive. Teaching us to use those kicks, really accelerate them.
So as the coaches said today at LSU, there were stations. It was a lot of fun to watch.
About that core tonality, having to hold on to core and engage with something out front. Very few people can do it well backstroke. Let's see if you can.
I love that little dig Coach Rick gets in there. So in this station, as you can see, they were using med balls to get good underwater work. They would pick up the med ball, work on underwater to 15, drop the med ball, underwater to 15, so that you get kind of the yin and yang, power work and then speed work. It was a real treat watching these women work, and especially obviously world and Olympic champion Maggie MacNeil. You can see her right here. She just jumps out to elite. I mean, her underwaters are just so elite. It's pretty crazy watching them. So next station, we had pulling, and this wasn't so much of a endurance workout as it was working on tempo with the pulling equipment and taking away the legs.
Good, we're getting stronger here. Attack that rate, getting stronger. Attack the rate. Keep your rate up, keep your rate up. When you guys push off, I'm gonna fall in.
That's a reference to how shaky the bulkhead is, but as you can see here,
all right, keep that rate up.
They're just working on
Gotta
tempo
go.
without the legs, but with paddles. So the set was 2 1s, 2 50s, 2 75s, 2 50s, and then 6 25s. So again, nothing crazy, but it was strap, buoy, and paddles. So again, the focus is just getting that tempo up, backstroke, freestyle, whatever stroke they were working on.
Forward and back, 2 kicks. Kick forward, kick back, forward and back.
So again, we're going back to the well with the med balls. And here, one thing you can hear Coach Rick saying was that they're emphasizing the forward and the back kick, which I think a lot of coaches talk about. But it was interesting seeing them do that vertically and then that play out horizontally as well. And you can see that once they drop the ball, the speed really comes. Holy Lord. So that's a 25 for time. Maggie MacNeil. I think she was like 10 seconds there. And then again, that's from a push after doing kicks with a ball. I think that was 10 mid.
The more that you go after and challenge people like that, the better you become.
I try to follow his targets,
Uh-huh.
but I can't.
Yes, no, you can. You have to continue. You have to not see it that you can't. You just keep trying to get better at closing the gap. It doesn't suddenly happen that you flip the switch and that you can beat someone who's the best in the world. I mean,
so just a little context. Obviously, that's Coach Rick talking to one of the other girls on the team about racing Maggie MacNeil, and just a little insight into the culture that he's trying to build, and that people like Brooks Curry and Maggie MacNeil help build that culture. He's encouraging everyone else to race them, to get after them, to use them as tools and as stepping stones to further their career and their swimming prowess. And he's saying, you don't have to beat them every time. They weren't built overnight. They're the best in the world because they work really hard every day, and you should do the same. If you keep chasing them, then you might not beat them, but you're going to be better for it.
you close the gap.
You close the gap. So the station was really interesting. It was a turn station. So they'd put on the ankle weights, as you can see right there. And then they would swim out to the middle. They would turn before the wall just to kind of get that foot speed going. And then they would turn at the wall. And it's kind of a weird thing. Then they drop the ankle weights and obviously work the turns. It's kind of a weird thing because on the one end, it's obviously resistance because your feet are heavier, but on the other end, it kind of helps you get a little more momentum, almost like swimming with a band. When you're swimming towards the band, when you're being pulled with the band. So the ankle weights not only help you get that, control the momentum and build the strength into the turn, but they also help you control the momentum through the turn. So then when you take the weights off, your feet are obviously lighter, so you're pushing half. You're pushing halfway, but then once you get over the turn, you're also learning to control that momentum that you built with the ankle weights. We'll go back a little just so you can see the video screen there. And the coaches giving that little bit of feedback. So, I mean, it's pretty nice what a lot of these top tier colleges have the video set up with the screen. You can go slow-mo. Not a lot of club teams have those, but it's pretty awesome when you get access to facilities like that.
Counting strokes as we break into the tower, okay? We go from power to length and strength.
So like Coach Rick just said, you're going from tower to length and strength. So once you hop on the towers, or once they hopped on the towers in this station, they were trying to lengthen out their stroke. They weren't necessarily trying to go for tempo like they were in the pulling station, but trying to lengthen out. And you can even see, that's one of my favorite things, is just pushing off in the streamline and then having the tower pull you back, just to get in that ideal position. And as you can see there, they would do it without fins, they do it with fins, which kind of changed the streamline game. So that was the women's practice. The men had a similar circuit, but I was with the sprint men in particular let's see. So the women came in from, I think it was 7 to 8:30. It doesn't sound right. Maybe 6:30 to 7:30, and the men were 7:30 to 9, something like that. But the men came in after the women, and the sprint men had a little bit different of the circuits. Coach Rick alluded to it earlier, but they start with similar things. So again, working that dolphin kick, he's encouraging them front to back, guys. Get both sides of the kick. Then they're going to pick up the med balls, I think. my mistake. So then they dive in, working on the streamline jumps off the bottom. And then finally, they pick up the med balls. So you can see here they're getting a fair amount of rest, and that's just because Coach Rick wants this to be a really high quality set. They're not doing, as you can see, a lot of yardage, and so they really want to emphasize that they're getting in good reps of streamline underwater. You know, we talk about it a lot in swimming, but those little details really do add up, especially for these sprinters who are swimming primarily 50s and 100s. And in short course yards, those turns make a really big difference. So you want to be able to hit 4 walls, including the start. So the start and 3 walls. You want to be able to hit every one of them right on and get those underwaters right on. So this is one of my favorite things. I'd never seen this before. So you can see that they're kind of stretching out with these poles, but what's going to happen is that they're actually going to get in the water and swim with those. So this is Brooks Curry, and he's demonstrating it. So he has fins, first of all, because it's pretty hard to swim with this without it. And then as you can see, he's swimming with the pole so that you get that connection from one stroke to the next. So they only did 225s of this. So it's not like they were like doing a ton of yardage with these poles. Literally, they did 225s with them. That's it. But it was a really fun exercise to kind of get that connectivity, get those muscle fibers engaged with each other. You know, kind of that straight arm freestyle drill, but not only straight arm, but getting the connection from one stroke to the next so that even when one arm is recovering, it's still engaged with the other one. And there's Rick kind of demonstrating that as well. This was also a fun drill. So they have the medicine ball, which you're pushing down against, and then you're taking those one stroke forward, 1 stroke back, 1 stroke forward with the same arm. So again, you have the fins so that the legs aren't really dropping, and you don't have to, you can really focus on what the arms are doing. But you're pushing down on that med ball, so that's creating a little bit of resistance there. And then you're focusing on, once again, that connectivity with the other arm, forward, back, and forward again. And they only did a couple 25s of this. Again, it was not anything crazy, and the yardage is, again, very low. But they're just kind of working into that connectivity. And there you can see Brooks's Olympic rings tattoo. Anytime you get to film an Olympian, it's pretty cool. I even get a little starstruck most times. So this is a really interesting one. They were kind of experimenting with it. Coach Rick talked about this in the beginning. So they're in the dive well, and divers have, you can turn on the bubble stream. So the huge bubbles come up from the bottom of the pool to kind of brace for the landing or brace the landing when divers dive off high platforms. So the goal here was to have the bubble come up, and when the bubbles broke the surface, you kind of ride that bubble into a sprint, and they were sprinting to opposite ends of the pool. So like the first time didn't really work too well, but kind of, I think like Brooks kind of got caught in the bubble thing there. But again, it was like the first time they were doing it, and everyone was kind of trying to figure it out. Like I didn't know how to film it, first of all, because they were going opposite ends. And so this one, you can kind of see it a little more. But so again, the bubble comes up, you try to ride that bubble, and then they race the opposite end. And eventually what ended up happening was that they started at the same place and you ride the bubble, and then you race to halfway. So I liked that Coach Rick was really trying to think outside the box for different ways of developing speed. The guy on the right who didn't win had a little bit of an ankle injury, and so I think that was one reason why he was a little slower. But again, now they're on the towers. And again, I love this exercise. We don't talk about streamline enough. That's my philosophy in swimming. I mean, it's just really important, and I love that they're streamlining with resistance. It's a very small exercise. It's not 10 100s threshold. It's not this huge yardage thing, but especially with sprinters, this makes a big difference. So when you can streamline and then push off in that streamline again with resistance, makes a big difference. I mean, you can see there, that's just some unassisted swims towards the end of the workout where they're actually putting that speed to work. I think that one has fins on. And again, they're just working tiny pieces of the race, tiny pieces of their technique. And this kind of builds up throughout the week.
Good. Keep going. Forward, back. Good. Down.
So again, getting the vertical kick in, and then he's actually going to go sideways. Go horizontal, and try to take that kick momentum into the butterfly.
Yeah.
So that is practice and pancakes at LSU. I will put most of the workout in the description below. Again, there are stations, so it's kind of a lot going on, but you saw the gist of what each station was trying to accomplish. I'll include the workout. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. What was your favorite drill? What was your favorite exercise that the LSU swim team did on this Tuesday AM workout? I know I picked up a lot of really fun things, and not everyone can do these with the facilities that a lot of pools have, but it's still fun to watch, to observe. Thanks a lot for tuning in today, and stay tuned for more practice and pancakes coming up.